Do you want 4 quarters or 100 pennies? You can't have those deep conversations with everybody in life, but you need to have somebody that you can. I think you always have an advantage if you listen first. I was able to get rid of that guilt, that regret. Everybody needs a life coach. Doers and disruptors. It's been 4 months since we did our last sessions that you've been viewing. And by the way, thank you for dialing in. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for all the subscribing. That motivates us to keep doing this. We talked in prior sessions about making impacts for people and how valuable that is once you have some success in life, sharing that, and that helps us keep doing this. So continue the feedback. Look forward to many more sessions ahead. And you might have noticed a little bit difference of the background. Some people think Wisconsin's not a good place to be mid-January. I beg to differ. You do get days where it's 45 degrees sunny, frozen ice. I think it's a cool vibe. So we just thought we'd come right back here because the last time we were talking to you, we had boats, we had water, we had waves, we had kids making noise. Now we just got a bonfire, crackling wood with a frozen lake. So enjoy. Today I want to talk to you guys about something that happened when I did the transition to Florida. I have some investments with a very young, talented kid who we have some investments in overseas in Dubai and Egypt. I was golfing with him, and he's in his mid-30s, about 20 years younger than me. But I respect the hell out of this kid. He's a doer. He's a disruptor. A great example of what we all should be in the time that we have here. So we're on the 18th hole. It's just me and him. And I've asked him a couple questions during the day, just trying to get to know him better and how he's doing what he's doing. And he does the same in return. We're trying to learn from each other because we respect each other. It's all part of that, being around somebody who compliments you. As you get older, shrink your lane. It's not about 100 pennies, it's about 4 quarters. Okay? He's one of the quarters, and I want to get to know him more. So I'm showing interest. He's doing the same. So on the 18th hole, he shares about what happened to him 3 years ago. He lost his mom, and he felt that he was out of balance. He was up and coming, and then all of a sudden he took a turn for the worse. And he reached out and asked for help, just like we all should. Because I think everybody's starting to learn now, especially with that football player that almost lost his life on a football field. I think people think certain people are superheroes, and we're enamored with that thought, whether it's athletes, people who have money or success, actors, actresses, newscasters, people in the spotlight. I think we think are superhuman, but it couldn't be farther from the truth. So this kid on the 18th hole starts to go into how his mom was here today and gone tomorrow. I think it's one of the toughest things to overcome in life. I think losing a kid is number one. Here today, gone tomorrow, number two. Somebody who is young or somebody who has to go through life not being themselves for an extended period of time, like my mom and my dad, would be number three. So I'm listening to him, and he tells me about how he reached out and he actually got a life coach. He started explaining the impact of this life coach and how he referred his girlfriend and a couple other people to him. And I asked him for his name because here I am in a transition by myself, another state, fortunate to have people come visit, but you're still most of the time by yourself. And I'm in this transition of retirement. I've never not been accountable to somebody. And here I am not accountable to anybody but myself. Everybody wants to get there. Everybody wants to retire. Everybody wants to be on top of the hill. But when you're no longer looking up and you no longer have a mentor, or you no longer accountable to somebody, you could be prone to falling down the hill. You could develop bad habits. I was worried about myself not having somebody that would check me up on what I'm doing daily, weekly, just goals, patterns, what my interests are. You can't have those deep conversations with everybody in life, but you need to have somebody that you can. So I reached out to the life coach for my buddy I was explaining that helped him. And a few sessions in, it was really cool, by the way, what he did. He had me fill out all this paperwork just about rankings of different things, just to get my emotions and understand who I was. He wasn't just there to just bill me an hourly rate. This was an expensive venture. And I was so impressed with the life coach's level of interest in getting to know me before he opened his mouth on anything. I thought that was so impressive. And I think if you parlay that to the game of life, sometimes versus, I think you always have an advantage if you listen first. So here we are. Fill out everything, have a session or two, and the guy, life coach, has got a funny. He's got a inner city New York, Long Island thick accent. 40 years old, Italian kid, but just spot on with kind of how he views things. We have a lot in common. So he senses that I have a lot of guilt and embarrassment, and I'm hurt from the divorce from a couple years ago, and that's absolutely true. So he said in the paperwork I filled out in the couple sessions that we talked to each other, he noticed a pattern. And he said that pattern was my feeling guilty about the divorce. And he shared with me something that I want to share with you guys, which made it all worthwhile. He had so much value, and I still talk to him today, not as often. But the value that he provided in full was the following. So he basically explained, and we talk about doers and disruptors, blamers and complainers. How about we do a different metric, top and bottom? How about we go for me, through me, to me, as me? So for and through are on top, to and as are on the bottom. And let me explain. So he said, Dave, do you want to know why you got divorced? I said, absolutely. He goes, I could tell you're carrying guilt. I go, absolutely. He goes, you regret it, right? I go, yes, I do. Because I felt like I let down my kids, my mom and dad, who were divorced, and I said it would never happen to me. And I'm not casting blame. It happened. And it's embarrassing. It's a tornado. He goes, let me explain why you got divorced. He goes, you're a for me, through me, most of the time guy. And if you can in life be above the bar, doers, disruptors, complainers, blamers, for me, through me. He goes, let me explain the for. He goes, your license plates, I believe you said your license plates say thanks, Shar, when you made the move to Florida. You thanked your mom for being in this retirement mode, building a lake house, getting a condo on a beach, surviving a tornado of a divorce, being able to still be viewed positively with your sons, your 3 sons that you have, even though the transition was made. He goes, you think a miracle took place, and you think it was your mom. I go, yes, I do. He goes, that's why you have the license plates, thanks, Shar. I go, yeah. He goes, well, you're one of the people that thinks that happened for him. And you don't take enough responsibility in owning the fact that you were the biggest part of the reason why that happened. But you'll give somebody else the credit because you think you're so fortunate, humble in a sense, happy to be alive, this unique energy. You think you're just living this beautiful life and you're so fortunate to be here. You have gratitude. You're gracious. I go, okay. He goes, through me. He goes, I've learned enough about you to where you explain about a lot of times you come to the rescue for people. And there's so many different examples. One of the funnier ones is the guy I met in college, who I'm part of his family, number one. I've mentioned this in prior sessions. I probably have gotten into no less than 12 fights in my life because this guy is a clown. He'll spit beer on the ceiling and watch it fall on people and then come to me and saying he needs help, right? Well, go through me. I'll take care of you. Even though you're a clown, I don't agree with it. You go through me in certain situations. When my parents passed, my sisters, they weren't there at the casket at the end before we closed the casket on both. I was. And it's not like I'm better, just that's my role, right? It's just go through me. I'm not afraid to be in front of people. I'm not afraid to share my emotions. Wasn't always like that. Kind of worked through a lot of experience with opening up through life. Doesn't happen automatically. Some people are a natural. I was no way a natural. But through time, that occurred. But if there's ever a situation in life, I would prefer if somebody's having a hardship, I would prefer to have them go through me. I'll help them along. It's a caring, loving thing. It's a courage thing. But you also have to be careful because it could get abusive where you're doing that and you're helping everybody else and not taking care of yourself. Over-helping. Anything with the word over is not good if you think about it. Think about anything you do in life. Over, whatever it might be. Everything in moderation. So for me, this happened to me because of good fortune, God, my mom as an angel. I'll give somebody else the credit before I give myself the credit. That's great. But you do have to acknowledge and give credit to yourself. Don't be the worst enemy of yourself. We have a tendency to be over gracious, over credit, and we don't balance that out and take ownership of that ourselves. Okay? We're also our biggest enemy a lot. You've heard me say in prior sessions, take it easy on yourself. Shit's going to happen. Relax. As long as you try, you're not a loser. You may lose, but as long as you try, and while you're here, you have no fear, and you're looking forward, you're trying to be at your best every day, give yourself a little credit. I think that's really kick-ass cool. Now let's talk about the bottom side. To me. As me. Okay? So the credit that you give for your fortune, when things don't go your way, you blame other energy, people, things for your misfortune. You take no credit for it. You point the finger. You're the blamer, complainer. As me. When you're overly competitive, you take credit for other people's success. If it wasn't for you, they wouldn't be who they are. You see a lot of parents make this mistake. You see a lot of coaches. You see a lot of bad mentors, bad managers in life, business, personal, athletically, relationships, marriages. If I were to look at the number one thing that I see why things fail in business, relationships, personal, athletically, leadership, all that stuff, is probably somebody at a high level has as me. And that is an ego the size of Texas. And they just can't get out of their own way. It's all about them. If it wasn't for me, the arrow's pointing their way. It could be a wife, could be a husband, could be a coach, could be a teacher, could be a manager. If something fails, CEO of a publicly traded company, they probably have too much as me. And they blame and complain the world that's negative, and they take over credit for anything positive. To me, that's a fucking coward, but there's a lot of cowards in the world. But that life coach helped me understand why I got divorced, because I would say probably I was more above the bar. My ex-wife was more below the bar, and I didn't understand why I couldn't help her get above the bar. And I'm not pointing fingers. She's a beautiful woman. I have 3 great kids, but I'm just, when you go down a highway and you suddenly go off different off ramps, not her fault, not my fault, but I would say that's probably a major reason why we did do what we did. But I was able to get rid of that guilt, that regret, that emotion that the life coach saw in the paperwork. In our first 2 conversations, he picked up on my biggest thing. So kudos to that guy for being a great listener, showing interest, asking questions, and solving a big problem for somebody who a lot of people look up to. But I'm not a superhero. Everybody needs a life coach. And look for those. Mentor, life coach, a great friend. I call them aces. There's only 4 in a deck. All goes back to, do you want 4 quarters or 100 pennies? I think I'd stick with the quality versus the quantity every time. Cheers. Hey, doers and disruptors. Welcome. God, I love you people. God, there's so few of you. If you love what you see, hit subscribe, hit like, and our 2 favorite words probably in common are what else. What else I have in store for you is going to be magical.